to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Princess, and this is my channel, Princess Living Free. I am married to an Ethiopian who I met about 12, 13 years ago now, in 2010, when I was living in Ethiopia as a Peace Corps volunteer. We've been married about 10 years now. We have 3 children, and we are pursuing a journey to freedom back in the motherland. So thank you guys for tuning in today. And I'm wearing my headphones because, as you can see, I'm sitting outside, so I want to make sure that you can hear me. But as you can tell from the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about why I love Ethiopia so much. You know, and I was thinking, people probably watch my channel like, what is this American girl talking about Ethiopia for? Like, why does she love Ethiopia so much? Why does she care so much? And, you know, this isn't on my list of like the top 5, but I think one of the main reasons why I'm so passionate about Ethiopia is because I believe it has a great future ahead and a significant past as well. And, you know, this video isn't about that, but I think that many of the things that were foretold in the Bible and also through prophetic people pertaining to Ethiopia have not yet come to pass. But we are in the days where we will see it come to pass very soon. And then the second reason, which is also not on my top 5, I mean, not that it's not my top 5. This is like, these are above the 5 reasons that I'm going to mention. But the other one is Ethiopia is the place where I met my husband. So, you know, for that reason alone, it will always have a very special place in my heart when I think back on, you know, the time in my life where I met my husband and where we were and how life was so simple. It's just a beautiful time, and he's a wonderful husband. So, you know, Ethiopia is very special to me for that reason as well. So aside from those 2 like primary reasons why I love Ethiopia, I will also go into the top 5 reasons that I have written down that I love about the country. So I have notes here, so I'll be referring to them, and then also, you know, ad-libbing as I go along. So, and I hope you guys can hear me fine with the cars and everything around. But anyway, so reason number 1 that I love Ethiopia is something called Gursha. And for those of you who are not familiar, you know, when Ethiopians eat their injera, they eat with their hands. And so they will eat the injera and wat. They pick up the injera and collect some wat, and then they eat like this. And when they really love you and really respect you, they will take that Gursha, this handful, fingerful of food is called Gursha. They will take that and they will feed it to you. And, you know, as a person from America, initially, it kind of turned me off because it was like, you know, I don't want your fingers in my mouth. I don't want you touching my food. Like, that's something Black Americans really are not comfortable with. So initially that I was like, no, please don't feed me. But then when I understood the meaning behind it and why people did it, it became something that I really learned to love about Ethiopia and about the culture. You know, and it isn't something that's romantic in any way, you know, typically. It's just showing love and respect for someone else. And so, you know, my brothers-in-law will do it, my sisters-in-law will do it, friends will do it for each other, like wives and husbands, anybody, somebody you love and respect. So, my gosh, my nose is running kind of. Sorry. So yeah, that is something that I really love about Ethiopian culture. I think it's a beautiful thing. In addition to that, the food is really good too. It's usually, people love it or hate it, but I love it. I love the flavors, I love the injera, and I love Gursha. So number 2 on the list of 5 things that I love about Ethiopia, and here is a bee trying to disturb me, is the respect that they have for one another. I mean, respect is ingrained within the Ethiopian culture. So, for example, when younger people are present in a room and then an older person enters the room, the younger people will stand up out of respect for the older person and even give up the place they were sitting in for the elder to sit. And that is a beautiful culture. Sometimes they'll even say like nor, and it's a way to welcome the person and show respect to them. And I love that. And the respect that they have for elders, it doesn't just stop there. It also, the respect extends to each other as well. The younger people, what I noticed is it's very common in Ethiopian culture and maybe other cultures as well to refer to one another as mother or father or sister or brother. And I remember when I was living there 10 to 13 years ago, and my first time living in Ethiopia, and I was riding the little minibus taxis that go throughout the city, throughout the country really. And I was sitting down, and they try to get more people onto the minibuses, and they say, "Ina tinish tagabi." I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was a polite way of saying, "Mother, please scoot over just a little bit," and it's like I at the time was like in my early 20s, and I wasn't a mother, and I didn't really perceive myself as being somebody who deserved like that type of respect, like how in the US we would say like Mr. or Mrs. or something, that somebody would say to me mother, but I really love that about the culture. And still to this day it's still a part of the culture that people do that. Like even no matter how modern Ethiopia becomes, I think that's something that will still be ingrained within the society and the culture, and that's a good thing. So I hope they never lose that. Okay, so number 3 on the top 5 reasons I love Ethiopia is the sense of community within Ethiopia. So in my years of being there and experience of living in Ethiopia, you will see people have a very close bond with one another. To the point where you'll see men with men holding hands or having their arm around, their friend's shoulder, women with women holding hands, holding each other's like elbow, they'll walk like holding elbows. And, that just shows it's not anything that is romantic or inappropriate in any way. It's just they have a very close bond with one another as friends and as family. And then also, people like to say the economy. I've seen a lot of people, and it's true, that the economy in Ethiopia is dispersed unequally. And, so it's the quality of life can be difficult, for a lot of people, and it's hard to sometimes afford food. But people look out for each other, when they're eating. If you go into a restaurant and there's people eating, they'll say, "Enibla," like, let's eat together, and they'll invite you to eat. And I've had that happen to me, like, where strangers will just invite me to sit down and eat with them, and so they look out for each other, they take care of each other. The same thing with, like, coffee. They'll invite you to their house to drink coffee. And it's not like, they bust out the Keurig and like make a quick cup. Like, no, it's a whole process. They will roast the beans, grind the beans, and sit down and make the coffee for you. And it's a time of like togetherness, when somebody invites you for coffee, they want to spend time with you, talk with you, and just like enjoy your presence. It's not just like a little quick get together, So that's another thing I really love about Ethiopia is their social attachment one with another. Number 4 is, I think, obvious, and probably other people really love this about the country too, is the beauty. Ethiopia is physically beautiful. The people are physically beautiful. But there's also, beyond that, a spiritual beauty about the country. There are many places in the world that are beautiful, in terms of their landscape and climate and things like that, but there's like a spiritual connection with the land, and I know I'm not the only one who has felt that. I had a woman email me and she said like Ethiopia, and that she's not Ethiopian. And she said Ethiopia is the only place that she's ever felt at home. And that resonated with me. Like, one, it's a powerful statement, but two, I know why she's saying that. There is a connection with the land. Another close friend of mine who was also in the Peace Corps with me recently told me, like, she was watching some videos about Ethiopia and it brought back some, like, feelings of nostalgia. Like, it's kind of like no other place, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but no other place in the world compares to Ethiopia. There is a spiritual connection there. Like, of course, there's a beauty. I've lived in the capital city of Addis Ababa, and I've lived in the rural part of Ethiopia as well. For 2 years, I lived in a place called Sibusire in Welaga, and that's the Oromia region of Ethiopia, the western part of the country, which is actually going through a really difficult time right now. But when I lived there, I mean, it's a very small rural town. And, you know, while I was there, I was just so overtaken, you know, by the beauty and the connection of Ethiopia. Like, even just a few kilometers, half a kilometer outside of our little rural town, you would be like in this wide open, just beautiful environment that was green. There were rivers running through. It was so quiet. Like, you wouldn't be hearing a whole bunch of cars driving by and whatever noise that is, I don't even know. But you just would hear the sounds of nature. And so my husband and I, when we were living there, because I actually met him in that town. He's not from there. He's from Bale, Oromia. But he was living there at the time for work. And, you know, we would go and get some, like, roasted corn from the local people who would just roast it on the side of the road and, like, walk out into that rural area and just sit there and eat this roasted corn and just enjoy the beauty of being out in rural Ethiopia, the nature. And it's a powerful feeling. Like, if you ever get a chance to visit Ethiopia, if you haven't been there before, I would highly suggest, like, getting outside of the major cities and going to a rural part and feel that spiritual connection that I'm talking about. And it is hard to explain, but if you experience it, you'll know what I mean. So that's number 4, the beauty of the country. Number 5 is that Ethiopia is a country filled with a people who fear God. And I'm not saying that they all believe the same God or all believe the same thing, but they fear the Most High. They know that there is a power above them, higher than them, and they live their life accordingly. They're a modest society. They don't seek to disappoint God or disobey God. You know, they know that there is a God. They are people who fear God. And, you know, it goes even, like, beyond that to, you know, where it's similar in a lot of other African countries where, and I got to choose my words carefully here because this platform doesn't allow you to speak so freely, but men and women with women, romantic relationships are not socially accepted. And that doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't exist. I'm sure it does, but it's not out in the open and it's not socially acceptable. You know, this is a modest people and culture that fears God. Also, I think, you know, again, I'll say I don't know if it doesn't exist, but I have never met an atheist Ethiopian. That doesn't mean that person isn't out there. I'm sure somebody's probably going to comment and be like, I'm Ethiopian, I'm atheist, okay. But generally speaking, that is not something that you will come across, you know, and that's a good thing. Ethiopia is a very spiritual place, like I was just saying about the land itself, but the people are very spiritual people. And it's interesting because you can see a connection between the Ethiopian people and the people of the Bible, right? And without going too deep into that, like, it's even in their language, how they greet each other, salam, you know, which means peace. And we've heard it in the Hebrew language, shalom, you know. That is, you know, part of who they are as a people. Even when you ask them how are they doing, they will include I'm fine thanks to God. It's part of, like, in America, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good, how are you? That's our automatic response. Like, whereas the more typical response in Ethiopia is I'm doing well thanks to God. How are you? And so that's another thing that I really love about Ethiopia. And yeah, so that wraps up my list of 5 things. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, you are awesome. And keep watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we are heading back to Ethiopia in a couple weeks. And I'm going to be sharing that experience with you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to, show you all the activities that we do, as well as some of the business opportunities and building costs, housing opportunities, land purchase opportunities, all of that. Hopefully, if I have time, I'll be able to show you all of that, because I did put out that poll, and it seems like, the majority of people want to see it all, and so I'm going to do my best to show it all. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those videos. And like I said, if you like this one, please like it and share it with others. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.